as we get started, I'd like to introduce and thank Amy Holub. Dr. Holub is the interim principal at Key Middle School right now. And she's here, and she'll have a part in our presentation because we really value the partnership that we have with Key Middle School, okay? So we'll talk about that in terms of where the connections are and what kids start with at Key and how that builds a foundation and supports them as they come into the high school. Stephanie Villamoria is our middle years program, International Baccalaureate Middle Years Program Coordinator. Miss Erin Sykes is one of our assistant principals, and she is also the assistant principal that supervises all the advanced academic programming. And then we have Mr. Terry Ryan, who is our coordinator for the International Baccalaureate Career Program. And then Mr. Acevedo, many of you may know him, but he is the diploma program coordinator here at Lee High School. And now I will give him the microphone to introduce our panel to you.
Happy New Year. I don't want to mess up, so I'm going to read from my notes. So, all right, so starting from I guess left to right. My right, your left, right? All right, so we have Joel Buba, who's a current senior at Lee High School with IBCP. We have Diana Pena Moreno, who is attending the University of Wisconsin. We have Vincent Zhao, who was a 2014 graduate, and he's still attending Virginia Tech and will be finishing soon. We have Joan Chen from last year. She's attending Wisconsin at Madison, along with Diana. We have Devin Botang. He's at William & Mary. And we have William Escobar. He's over at Georgetown University. We have Lindsay Martinez, who is at University of Virginia. Wahoos. And we have Catherine Leyva Almendares, who's at Lafayette University. In our panel, we have POSSE winners, scholarship winners. We have SGA presidents, past presidents of classes. We have a multitude of varied types of students here. So, and they're here to share their experiences with the IB and the advanced academics that they've had over the past 4 years.
Great. Thanks, Mark. Okay, the first thing that I'd like to do and bring to your attention is in your packet. You will have a half sheet that looks like this. These are, you know, in education, we have a lot of EduSpeak, and it's a lot of acronyms. So you'll hear us say things like, I did, IBMYP. We've provided this to you to help you kind of guide your way through what we may be talking about when we use those acronyms. The one thing that I want to share with you is that the AAP, it says Advanced Academic Placement. That is actually Advanced Academic Program. That was a typo. So if you could just fix that. And then the rest, I believe, are somewhat self-explanatory, but you will hear them as we go through our presentation tonight. The last person that I am now seeing is Dr. Cekino. Hello, Dr. Cekino. Thank you for joining us. He's one of our counselors here at Lee High School, and he's come out to support the program this evening. So thank you. Okay, and at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Miss Sykes Thurston.
One of the things we want to put into perspective is why we have these kids here and why it's really important to access these different opportunities while your child is in high school. Students live and learn in a global society. It's very, very critical for us to understand we do not know what the world, even Vincent, who's going to graduate very soon from Virginia Tech, what that world is really going to look like by the time he starts working. How much has it changed? So this global living and learning in this global society. We're all so connected and the world is changing. These classes prepare not kids for the content of what's going to change. They prepare the kids so that they can access the opportunities that exist. What do I mean by that? When we think about a global society and we have kids think globally, when they become adults, they are not narrow-minded in their thinking. They are much more globally minded. They can be open to other people's ideas, other people's philosophies. So we have the students access those experiences when they are in our advanced academic program. The relevant instruction now will help prepare them when they are, as Vincent is, about to embark upon a professional career. Again, it's not about what we teach them. It's about getting them to become and be prepared to be these global thinkers. The other thing is, these students that sit up here, they are the cream of the crop. They are all excellent, good human beings and excellent students. That's skills. There's skills involved in becoming these people. There's persistence, relevance, drive. They'll talk about that later. But these classes, when the kids access them in high school, the kids participate in doing those things. They learn skills to persistence and drive. The idea is accept the challenge. Stephanie Bellamoria.
So throughout their 4 years here at Lee High School and at their 2 years at Key Middle School, students will engage in what IB calls the learner profile. These are 10 characteristics or traits that that the IB program really encourages students to hone in on and really develop throughout their time with us. So here at Lee, we have different activities that we incorporate to access these different characteristics. During an advisory class periods when they're with their advisory teacher, we have lessons that are designed around a book that the whole school's reading called March by Senator Congressman. Thank you, John Lewis. And we tie traits, all of these traits, we do different clips to show how John Lewis exemplifies all of these characteristics so that we show students that not only is it you that exemplifies these traits, but people that you've heard of also are exemplifying these traits. Teachers do different activities and lessons that incorporate these traits. There's a government class that one of the teachers takes historical figures throughout his history government class and has the students tie the traits themselves to those people. Also in the personal project what students do in the 10th grade, and this is a year-long-ish project that students engage in, they have to reflect upon how they tap into all of these skills throughout that process. And I'm going to hand it to Amy to talk about how they do it at Key.
Happy New Year, everyone. Right, so now that we're authorized, we're so proud to make the focused lessons on the characteristics and traits a part of who we are at Key Middle School. So each month, we have very specific instructional lessons for our kids, also during our advisory, about each trait. In those lessons, the students reflect on what they're currently doing and what they could do better or differently to continue to exhibit the traits. We have videos, we have simulations, and it's really exciting. We go kind of in this explicit instruction because that's what middle school students need. Each month then, the staff selects 2 or 3 students who best have represented that trait, and we recognize them as a student of the month for that IB trait. Certainly throughout our entire instructional program, the teachers are looking for ways to help students exhibit and demonstrate the traits in all of the learning activities and through the assessments and what we require of the kids. So this is really part of building the whole child and the work ethic needed to be an advanced academics student in the future. No problem.
So at Lee High School, one of the things I think we're most known for is that we are an international baccalaureate program. Again, going back to the beginning when I introduced folks here, we have coordinators that take care of the middle years program, which is for basically our 7th through 10th graders. Key also has a coordinator at their school. Then we have the coordinator for the DP program, which traditionally begins mostly in 11th and 12th grade. And then we have our CP coordinator, Mr. Ryan, which is also an 11th and 12th grade program, where that program begins. But one of the things that when I came to Lee High School that I was looking at was, when I opened up, I talked about passion and strength. And one of the things that I felt was the IB program is a really strong program. However, there were gaps in some of the things that we had to offer students. And in some ways, there just wasn't enough opportunity for students to engage in advanced academic classes for them to really look at and to challenge themselves in. So prior to Ms. Sykes-Thurston joining our team, she worked in instructional services for the high school advanced academic program. And I called her up and I said, hey, can we meet? I would like to have a conversation with you about the advanced placement program. And would it have a place and serve a role for our students here at Lee High School? So we had our meeting and we essentially did a crosswalk. And really the way I picture it, or the way I help people visualize what we ended up doing, was IB has a lot of opportunities, but they kind of stretch kids really far. What we did was we looked for courses that we could kind of drop in between all the AP courses to give more stepping stones, more opportunities for our students to engage in. So what you see on this slide are the courses that we selected to complement the International Baccalaureate program and courses that we offer through that program. So let me give you an example, and I'm going to do it in the opposite manner. I'm going to talk to you about a course we didn't bring in to Lee High School. In AP, there's a course called Human Geography. And basically what that course does is looks at how have humans impacted the world over time and created change in the world over time. Well, the International Baccalaureate offers social anthropology. They're essentially the same course with a different name. So we did not, you don't see AP Human Geography as a course that we offer because it didn't plug a hole, it didn't plug a gap, right? So for us, these are courses, one of the things I had conversations with community members about were higher level math courses. Now IB offers these kids will tell you who took IB, upper level IB classes, that they were tough, very challenging, rigorous classes. But we had kids that wanted to zero in just on calculus. So when you look at AP offers those 2 calculus classes. Those were classes we did bring to Lee High School. AP Statistics is another course that we brought because IB doesn't have a class specifically for statistics. So what we did was we created a much more robust menu of opportunities for our students to engage in. And this is what takes me back to the concept of individualized for each student based on their strength and their passion. We have students that can engage in a diploma program that covers the waterfront. But for me, I have a son who is a math science kid. He would much rather dive deep into math and science than take care of humanities or anything like that. So if he were at Lee High School, he would have the opportunity to be a diploma candidate, or he could just say, I want to dive deep on the math and science. And now we have opportunities for kids like that to do that. Okay? So oh, you flipping? Thank you. So that's how the AP fits into what we offer as at Lee High School for advanced academics. All right? And now Ms. Sykes-Thurston is going to talk with you about what the diploma options are for our students at Lee.
This is a pretty excellent graphic because we talk about diplomas and we know, but sometimes parents and community members don't necessarily understand what's an IB diploma versus a Fairfax County diploma. So if you look up at the graphic, you see that the Commonwealth of Virginia awards 2 types of high school diplomas that Fairfax County gives out. The kids can access classes and achieve a standard diploma, or they can take different types of classes, a few different courses as well, and they can go after an advanced diploma. What becomes a little confusing is that we have this thing called the IB diploma. The IB diploma is in addition to. Now, they don't take extra classes. It's the types of classes they take when they're going after their standard or advanced diploma. But the IB, depending on if they go after and they do the CAS, TOK, and extended essay, they can achieve the IB diploma. Or if they decide that they want to access, like Ms. Lavery's son, math and science IB classes, with maybe a few AP classes in there, those kids are called certificate students because they have taken a few different IB courses. As well, the career-related program gets a certificate. Now, every child that graduates with a standard or an advanced diploma and meets the requirements of the career-related program will get the certificate. So again, the IB diploma and the IB certificate is in addition to a student walking across the stage and getting the FCPS diploma through the state of Virginia, for the state of Virginia. And if you have any questions, Mr. Acevedo is a fantastic resource about that. And so am I and anyone else. And Stephanie, you're next, right? It's Ms. Lavery.
Okay, and I know that you may, I lost my glasses. No, I didn't. I know that you may have some questions, but what I'd like us to do is I'm going to share with you, go through your handouts, and I want to get to the students, the young adults, and then after they're done, if there are questions, we'll take questions then. But I think some of your questions may be answered by our students. So if you go back into your folder, there are some things that I just want to draw your attention to that are for you to peruse. We're not going to go through them now, but the purple-colored handouts, that's a lot of our data around how are we doing with IB, how are we doing with where our kids go to college, how are we doing with scholarship money. So that's just kind of a glimpse into the data that we have here at Lee High School. Then if you look at the yellow sheets, these sheets provide for you, and there's a lot of information, but we gave it to you in a couple different ways, depending upon what works best for you. But basically the yellow sheets are sharing with you, this one that goes vertical is really sharing with you what are the courses that are available to students beginning in the 9th grade that are advanced academic classes. And then the other one that goes horizontal is basically the same information, but it takes you through the sequence of what would I take in 9th grade. Then if I take this in 9th grade, where does that lead me to in 10th grade? And if I take that in 10th grade, what does it lead to in the 11th grade? And then what does it lead to in the 12th grade? Because as I said earlier, this really is about, when I was in high school, we just went year by year. There was no comprehensive view of what's your starting point and what's your ending point. And things have really changed in education to provide kids a lot of different opportunities. But I really think the conversation with your children is, you don't have to know dead on where you want to be at the end of high school, but to have an idea of what that goal is and then backtrack the classes that you sign up for so that you're set up to achieve that goal. That's a conversation that's important for you all to have with your children, but I can guarantee you that Mr. Acevedo has it with our students. I can guarantee you that it's happening at the 7th and 8th grade level with the counselors at Key, and I can guarantee you that it happens not only with our counselors, but next week, our teachers are going to be engaging in conversations with all of our students around these type of questions. Where do you want to go? What's the best class for you? What are you ready to take? You've been taking standard level classes all your life. Maybe it's time to challenge yourself with an advanced academic class. Let's try one. Let's get you into one. So those are conversations that we'll be having with kids, but that is some information that provides you, when you have time to sit and look at it, to sort of digest it. And then if you have any questions, we're actually videotaping this presentation. It'll be up on our website, but you can also email any one of us and we can get answers to those questions for you. Then the last thing you have is this white sheet that has some, it's two-sided, and basically these are also example schedules, but they are examples of for kids that are just taking IB classes. Then you have one with AP and IB mixed, and then you have a career-related setup, classes for the career-related program, and then the diploma program. So again, these are examples. These are not the only way to achieve these different programs, but they do give you a sense and an idea of what a schedule would look like for students, whether they're career-related, diploma, courses, or a mixture of AP and IB. Okay? All right. So, Mar.
So to be an IB student, it is a privilege. It is a wealth of opportunity to be an IB student, whether you're just a core student taking a few IB classes or even 5 IB classes, whether you're in the full IB diploma, which most of these kids were, or the IB career-related program, which emphasizes a career path along with the IB side. You get to be exposed to a lot more other things than just the regular students, I think, because there's more opportunities to dig deeper in your IB classes. For example, Mr. Ryan takes his two IBCP classes, both in junior year and senior year, to InterQuest, which they develop team building exercises, and it's a really fun opportunity to do that field trip. He takes the seniors to the Spy Museum, where they learn ethical behavior. I've taken my DP students, not this past December, but in 2016, to Wreaths Across America, and we laid wreaths to honor those who were buried at the National Arlington Cemetery for their casts. The IB diploma exposes all these things to kids through the CAS side especially. That's the experiential learning besides their academic realm here at Lee High School, and it's a terrific opportunity to grow as a person. You become well-rounded. You become a little bit more in tune to what's happening around the world, what you can do to affect the world, what you can do to grow as a person, both internally and externally. And that's what the opportunities are there for as far as being an IB. These kids will tell you what they've done, and hopefully you will be impressed because I've been impressed. So I think the next slide. So we're going to start with a student panel. Do you want me to read the questions out, or do you want to? Okay. So the first question, and we're going to give the students a chance to answer these questions, and then if you have a question, maybe write it down as we go along, and then when we hit the last person, Catherine, we can have an open discussion as far as what you want to ask them. So Joel, your first question is, how does the IB career-related program, in particular your personal and professional class, help you with the following: communication, collaboration, understanding different cultures, and understanding different perspectives?
So overall, the structure of the class as part of the program, it really gives you a unique learning experience rather than just a class curriculum. Through a wide range of activities and assignments, it gives candidates the chance to develop skills no matter what your child's field of study is. And we use different modern technologies like YouTube, Blackboard, and VoiceThread. We work on developing fine-tuned communication skills and habits, and early on in the year, we do in-class discussions. We do through our assignments, we communicate. We also do speeches, presentations, and even practice a job interview one time. Collaboration is also consistently emphasized in the curriculum. We're placed in 9 groups with all students throughout the county, from South Lakes, Mount Vernon, and Lee. We talk about topics on online discussion boards on Blackboard, different topics every week. Like this week, we're doing one on the theory of linguistic relativity, which is we're going to be looking into the relationship between language and culture. So this gives us a platform to really voice our opinions, really acknowledge different perspectives, and just discuss with other people online and get that aspect of communication in as well. The curriculum also helps students develop a cultural awareness, which is really priceless nowadays. We're about to do actually an entire unit on intercultural understanding. And overall, it's been a program valuable to my education, teaching me soft skills in addition to the hard skills learned through my other IB classes. It's really given me overall well-rounded experience for my other extracurricular activities. It's not just like a regular class.
So Joel, can I embarrass you for a second?
Go ahead.
So I got an email just a little bit ago from a gentleman in Nigeria. Does this ring a bell?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And I'm just going to read you the email that was sent to me about Joel and a group of other students that they have come together, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you've kind of formed your own small business.
Yeah, so we worked with a nonprofit organization called Leadership Initiatives. We basically were trained in they helped us try to start up a woman's business in Nigeria, Bauchi, Nigeria. So we used different like business management techniques and they helped us along the way, but we did different things like contact like advertising people in the area. We modeled her like menu, different stuff like that to just help start up the business in general. We work with different people overseas in just general business problem solving things like that.
Right. So this gentleman said that he wanted to reach out to let me know how impressed he was with these gentlemen. And they recently raised over $200 for a small restaurant business in Bauchi State, Nigeria. The team, consisting of Joel and about 4 or 5 other students here at Lee High School, continued to surpass the expectations time and time again. Not only is the team raising money, but they have been working to solve problems the business has been facing, such as creating new advertising, a financial plan, and even researching cooking techniques to implement on a daily basis. While they are new, this team has taken the time to research and understand Nigerian culture to help their business partner in the most effective way. The Robert E. Lee High School IBIP team really cares about their business partner, and their work shows it. Working with the students of your school has been a joy, and I can't wait to see what else they will be able to accomplish as the year progresses. And then he sent a couple of photos. But this is not part of a class. These are kids who took the initiative on their own. After really developing these skills and the understanding of how important it is to reach out to others, support others, and gain that intercultural understanding. So I just want to congratulate you, and I'll chat with the other guys as well. But I just thought that was a nice thing to kind of intersperse with all that you had said for question 1.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
Our next question is for Diana. By the way, Diana is a 2017 Posse winner, scholarship winner. So we're really proud of her. So Diana, how did the IB career-related program help you explore your interest in business? And did IBCP influence your course choices in college? If so, how?
Well, to start off, Can you hear me? Okay. Well, to start off, I'd say that IBCP helped me explore my interest in business and that it actually provided a business class for me to take, which I thought was really different from a lot of other programs or other schools. And not only that, it taught me the necessary skills that I need for my business classes that I will be taking next semester. And within the IB business class itself, I learned a lot of the basic concepts that I need for the business classes that I will be taking, and that kind of gave me a head start in comparison to my classmates who had no prior knowledge coming into college about any of the basic business concepts. So, for example, and in one of the clubs I'm in, called DECA at UW-Madison, one of the things we do is compete, and I had an advantage that I already knew people in my high school that were involved in DECA. So I kind of used I used the skills that I learned from my classmates and from my business class and applied them to the club, and that kind of gave me an advantage over the other students. And not only that, but also IBCP had a class called Approaches to Learning. I'm not sure if we still have it, but I've even found that class really helpful just because it gave me the chance to build connections with my peers and even just practice my public speaking skills, which is really helpful in the business world. So overall, IBCP just prepared me for like every basic business concept that I need to know, and it gave me all the right tools for my future in business. And in terms of my second question, I would say that IBCP did have a part in my course choices a little bit. Right now, I am mostly taking the business requirements that I need to take, such as like econ, psychology, and math. But even so, I would have taken probably psychology just out of interest from my business class. I would say that what IBCP helped me most with was giving me the chance to explore all my options, such as like being involved in volunteering or in extracurriculars at school. It gave me more time to be involved in those kinds of things. And in college, I used all of that to kind of just apply it to everything that I've learned and be more involved in the clubs that I am in at university.
Thank you, Diana. What Diana had as a class is approaches to learning is what Joel's now is personal and professional skills. IB likes to change up a little things here and there, so there's a little bit of difference there. The next person is Vincent. Vincent is a 2014 graduate. I've known Vincent for almost 8 years now. He was class president for sophomore, junior, and senior class, so it is doable to do a lot of other things and also do the IB diploma program and be really successful at it. So Vincent, your question. How did IB prepare you to manage stress in college? What coping mechanisms did you develop?
So the IB diploma program, sorry, is this thing on? Okay, cool. Closer? Hello? Oh, okay, perfect. Hi, so I was a full IB diploma candidate, so I took a lot of very difficult courses that had a lot of heavy course load. And so doing all those like really tough academic courses and getting me used to having like a heavy course load really helped me prepare for college, because I feel like I was almost busier in high school than I am now in my courses at college, which has really helped me to kind of get used to that level of work. It's also helped me to build a lot of really great coping mechanisms. Like IB lays out a really great support system for its students. One of the, I think, things that helped me the most was the IB advisory, which is sort of that free period where usually you're just paired with other students that are, I don't remember how they used to pair it, but it was just like random. But when you're in the IB diploma program, you're placed in a free period with other students who are also in the IB diploma program. So you are in a class where you have a bunch of people who understand the things that you're going through. And even when school starts getting tough, you have people that are there to support you, whether it's emotional support and kind of just understanding what you're going through, or if you need academic help, they're there to be like, oh yeah, I did really well on that section, like I can help teach you how to do that problem. I think another really great resource that IB provides is the really great faculty and staff. My IB diploma or my IB advisory teacher was like a school mom to me. You know, she was so incredibly supportive, and since she was there to see us like grow throughout our 2 years as IB diploma students, she really saw what kind of strengths and weaknesses we had and helped us to build on those as people. Another great resource, obviously, is the people that are coordinating this IB diploma program. IB diploma program. Like Mr. Acevedo, he's someone who is very accessible. So if you ever feel like you are having problems and you feel like you can't meet the requirements, you can go to him and you can get help. You can help create a plan for what you need to do in order to succeed. And now, also another thing that he was saying was I was very involved in a lot of different aspects at school. I not only did the IB diploma program, but I also tried to stay active in being the class president, as well as running cross country and track to kind of help just, stay in shape and keep my mental faculties up. But I think the biggest, most important part of that is that the IB diploma program encourages students to lead a balanced lifestyle. It doesn't want all of its students to be 100% academic focused and studying 100% of the time. It encourages students to pursue their passions in order for them to kind of become the best well-rounded student as possible. And another really important thing that helped me was the physical activity of me like going out and doing track and cross country. That helped me in my academics because sometimes it's really good to step away from a problem and take some time to yourself and then come back to it, and then you're able to answer it a lot better in the future. So I think that IB encouraging its students to lead a balanced lifestyle and giving it the resources such as the teachers and the IB advisory really, really helps students to be prepared for the level of stress that they're going to face in college and just to succeed really well in high school as well.
Thanks, Vincent. So part of the building relationships here is that out of all these students here, all of them, except for one, have my cell number. That's kind of, I guess, scary for some teachers to give out, but they don't even call me. They only call me when I'm needed, but I'm there for them. The next person is Joan Chen. She's also a 2017 Posse Scholarship recipient. And Joan, your question is, there is a myth that students will not receive college credit for the IB. Did you receive college credit for your IB courses?
So I'm like the myth buster, I've actually received a lot of credit, enough for me to have sophomore standing in my campus. It all depends on the school, but for my school, I was able to get every credit that I had for HL classes, which are higher level IB classes, compared to SL, which are standard level. And each class that I took was English, history, math, and Spanish. Not only did I get credit for it, but I was also able to place myself out of those classes and then proceed to more advanced classes on my campus so that I have more time to take other classes that I wouldn't be able to if I didn't meet those requirements. And also, I got more credit for gaining a certain point total. At the end, when you take your IB exam, you have a certain pointage. And on my campus, if you met 28 or higher, you were allowed 3 more credits. So depending on the campus, they can be very generous, but as the myth buster, it's most definitely possible. I also know other friends who may not have the same amount of credits that I have, but they did receive it. Like I said before, it most definitely depends on what campus you're going to, what they look for as a student, but that just goes through all of the processes of looking for colleges and just doing a little bit more research, but it's definitely possible.
Thank you, Joan. So lesson learned here is, parents, you have to do your research. Take your kids, get in the computer, where do you want to go to school? Look it up, see what they offer. If that's not good enough for you, pick another school. Do your research as you go along in their journey through high school. Next representative is Devin Botang. He is the SGA president from 2017, so he is really busy. And Devin, your question is, the IBDP is a time-intensive program. What supports did you receive from Lee High School to complete your 2-year journey in the diploma program? And how have you applied this learning experience to college?
Okay, so yeah, so with the IB diploma program, there was an immense amount of support that is available to you and that was available to me especially. So much so that at the beginning, before I even started the IB diploma program, I was scared that maybe the IB diploma program wasn't for me and that it was going to be too challenging. And the month before school even started, I went to go tell my counselor that I wanted to cancel. That's where Mr. Azevedo came in and said, let's have a meeting with both me, your parents, and the counselor to discuss this a little bit more. And at that meeting, we talked about pretty much what I was getting myself into as far as my academic career in high school, as well as how he, as well as a lot of other staff, teachers, as well as the students as well, would provide me with support. And throughout the entire 2 years that I've done the IB diploma program, I've had nothing but immense support. And even as Ms. Azevedo said, I was the SGA president my senior year of high school, and I played football and was heavily involved in that to the point where I was in a leadership position. So being in the highest level of education provided at the school, as well as the most one of the most time-consuming organizations in the school, as well as playing a sport, you can understand that that is a very, very, very difficult thing to manage. And without that support system, I would not have been able to finish. I could say that I would not be able to finish the diploma program, and I would not be going to the college where I am going today with the scholarship. So with that, there were definitely a lot of different teachers that helped me in a lot of different aspects. As far as the extended essay, which was the essay that we have to do throughout the year, I've received a lot of assistance both through the actual writing process, such as Ms. Nickmeyer, as well as another teacher, as well as Ms. Marquet, who was the person involved and in charge of the extended essay process. With CAS, I had Ms. Dowie, as well as the social worker, Ms. Fulmore, who also was the founder of the PAMIS program, which is the Proud African American Males About Success Club that I was also involved in, was there for me throughout the entire process. Just the classes in general, I received assistance in almost every class. And not only were they there for me, but I also, with working with these teachers and staff, I also knew that I needed to come to them at times where I felt like I needed the assistance. And in the beginning, I didn't fully become aware of how much they supported me, but I know for a fact that when I was here, it was easy for me to come to them. After a while, it would be an everyday thing. I know from Ms. Sykes, who was involved in a lot more in my SGA experience, as well as my IB diploma experience. It became a point where I would see her every day, and we not only talked about SGA, but also how I was doing in class. She always came, not even when I went to her office, but sometimes she would pop in my class just to see how I was doing. And this was involved with not only her, but almost with all the counselors that weren't even my counselors were helping me out throughout the process, as well as Ms. Fulmore. So the assistance was there consistently, and they're here to help you if you are willing to work for it. And I know for me, there was opportunities and chances where I shouldn't have even been allowed to continue to going, but they understood that I wanted the IB diploma. They knew that I was serious about what I was doing in high school, and they were here to help me and provide me with that extra assistance, especially with the extensive schedule that I had. So as far as the support, it was there all the way through. And as far as the second question, how have I applied this learning experience to college? Not only has it helped me understand the necessity of having a support system, but also helped me understand how to talk to people as well, because with all the support that I was receiving, I also understood that I needed to make sure that there was a good communication, there was a good relationship, and the communication between the people that were helping me was good as well. They've taught every single teacher's either taught me how to self-manage, how to time manage, how to prioritize, and what things I need to focus on at what time, and what steps I needed to take in order for me to be as successful as possible. These were all things that were taught to me, as well as the lessons that were learned to help me even in college. And thanks to the IB diploma, I could say that, as Vincent said as well, that my 2 years of high school, though hard, made college a lot easier, especially because the IB diploma program as well as the IB courses are very writing intensive. All the courses that I took had some element that was similar to the school structure that you would have in college. So overall, these just were things that helped me in the support system. Pretty much without them, I wouldn't be here. So
I'm gonna cry. But so if Joan is the Mythbuster, Devin is the poster child for It Takes a Village. It took a village, and he got through it, and he appreciates it. So we appreciate him. The next person is William Escobar. So William attends Georgetown University. He has his own personal story. I don't know if he's going to share it, but he has his own personal story. But I'll let him say it if he wants to say it. What skills, William, did you learn and develop through the process of completing the extended essay? How are you utilizing these skills in college today?
Hi. So the extended essay is a pretty big process. It's a 4,000-word paper if you're doing the IB diploma program. And some of the classes that I learned that probably were really integral to my success in the extended essay were, if you're going to take any IB classes, I highly suggest taking IB HOA, which matriculates into IB topics of the 20th century, and then also social anthropology, both classes that really help you develop and learn how to make an argument. So I feel like a lot of the time that when students in the 9th and 10th grade, what they do is they end up writing verbatim what's in textbooks. And one of those two classes, or one of those three classes do, is they teach you how to develop an argument in an APAC format. An APAC format is the format that you'll learn throughout the 4 years that you're at college, throughout your 4 years, regardless if you're in the advanced academics program. And it's about making a claim, essentially, and really hammering in a point, regardless of the point that you're making, or whether it's true in fact. It's really making an argument that you believe in, and then supporting that with proofs. And then also another factor that you learn from the extended essay was scholarly sources. Going into the extended essay, I had no idea what, I mean, I knew Wikipedia and, if you don't know that, but I mean, you really learn a lot. Like even some of the databases that are offered, like Gale. I mean, you really have to question every single source that you're taking into account, and never really take things at face value. And I really learned that, especially with this Marquet. And then another factor, the final factor that I learned was which is really important and really helped me translate to college was realizing that your professors and your teachers are experts in what they do. Mr. Daly was my advisor. He's the IB HOA teacher. If you're taking IB HOA, you'll get to know him very well. He's probably, little favoritism, I think he's probably one of the most effective teachers here at Lee, especially in the history department. And he really teaches you how to write persuasively, but also argumentatively, and also making your claim. But also developing like relationships with your teachers and professors, understanding their point of view, as well as and using that in order to project that into your own point of view, and also using proofs such as textbooks and other scholarly sources online. And then how did that translate for me for college? So I think the extended essay is a lot about challenging the curriculum. One of the things that I had was challenging whether or not Gettysburg, one of the key battles of the Civil War was the decisive battle. And it was always taught that, you know, it was the decisive battle of the Civil War. However, I challenged that, and that was my 20-page essay. And that's what I had learned in high school. And then translating that to college. One of the courses that I take at a Jesuit school, Georgetown's a Jesuit school. It's very religious. Is Problem of God. It's kind of that epitome of that challenge of the curriculum. I mean, why would you take a Problem of God class in a Jesuit school? But I mean, it's this recognition that if you're not asking the right questions at a higher level, then maybe that's not the area for you. But then moving on and asking those hard questions are what really make critical thinkers and make that bridge between a passive learner and an active learner. An active learner being someone that really engages in asking questions and not taking things at face value, as I mentioned. I guess since Mr. Acevedo mentioned it, one of the things that a personal event that happened to me my senior year was I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. A chronic illness where you have to take insulin shots about 5 to 6 times a day. And it was like my senior year. It was around the time that my extended essay and TOK and everything was due. Pretty much everything was due. And it was really stressful. One of the symptoms was like I lost a significant amount of weight. I think I lost around 38 pounds in just a month. And I'm already a lean guy. I ran cross country and track on the state level. And I was pretty lean as it is, so that amount of weight was pretty significant. And then I think that to take away from my story and like being diagnosed with this during such a hectic time is that it's the IB diploma is very doable in the sense that, I mean, regardless of the circumstances that happened, I was able to complete my coursework very successfully. And I think that I learned a lot from that, and regardless of my circumstances, and just being able to push beyond that. And then I think that if I was able to do something, you know, I mean, push through chronic illness and still maintain a very, very high GPA, like, I think that anybody that tries to attempt at the IB diploma should also, I mean, or even thinking about it, I think they should really consider it because, I mean, it is very doable. It is very doable if you really put the work in it. There's no substitute for hard work, so I really suggest taking the IB diploma if you're really interested in it. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, William, for sharing that. Yeah, that was a tough time, but we got him through it, and that was all William to get through all that stuff, so really good job. Next person is Lindsay. Lindsay, I asked Lindsay in her exit interview with me, are you willing to come back to talk? She goes, yes, I want to come back to talk. So I didn't forget about Lindsay. So Lindsay's question is, how did the other core components of the IB Diploma program, CAS, which stands for Creativity, Activity, and Service, and TOK, which stands for Theory of Knowledge, help prepare you for the rigors of college?
Okay, so hi. So in addition to the extended essay, as William talked about, CAS and TOK are things that take up a lot of your time in the IB Diploma. And CAS, as Mr. Acevedo said, stands for Creativity, Activity, and Service. They are basically hours that you have to dedicate to those things. And CAS was really about what I wanted to look into and what I wanted to participate in more. It wasn't studying for a class. It was something about exploring my interests. And so the main part of that was a CAS project that you got to choose and focus on throughout your 2 years in the diploma program. And I chose to start a Red Cross Club here at Lee. And our first project was a food drive, and we collected about 300 plus pounds of food and donated it to a local shelter for the less fortunate during the holiday season. And this project really helped me explore my interest in service hours and that kind of thing, and it was really individual-based, so it wasn't something I was forced to do. It was something that I was passionate about, and it helped me get to do that and be encouraged to do that. Another aspect of CAS that was really important is the reflection that you have to do about your activities. So it isn't just doing them to do them, it's doing them because they have a meaning to you and that you are reflecting on them and they help you in the future and what you want to do in college maybe, and stuff like that. So CAS connects to my college experience because CAS there weren't strict guidelines or rules of what I had to do. It was more based on me, which is what college is. You have a lot of free time. You aren't always told what to do with it. So you have to know what you want to do and focus on what you're doing so you're successful. And so CAS helped me get in this pattern and be ready for all the free time and all the freedom that college has. As for TOK, this class, I had a love-hate relationship with it, which means I hated it at the time, but I love it now because of the benefits it has given me in college. It was very challenging because it forced me to write and speak in arguments that were multifaceted and had many different perspectives, which I didn't understand at the time, and it was really challenging. But now, in my papers, especially because I'm a history major, I'm using these skills that I developed, and I'm having fully developed arguments that consider many different perspectives, and thus I get better grades, and it's easier to write, and it's easier to get grades. That's my first worry. So it's really helpful there. So basically, CAS and TOK both are really encouraging of deep thinking for an individual in both assignments in the classroom and what you do in your free time out of the classroom. And so it was really helpful for me to develop those interests and those abilities.
So another interesting thing about Lindsay is that she entered the IB diploma program later than a lot of the other kids in her class. She came to me, I think in October. She said, I want to be IB diploma. I was like, we already have our kids, and what am I supposed to do with you for TOK? She made the effort to go to TOK at Edison High School on her own every Wednesday afternoon to get taught TOK while the other kids were already finished with that. So props to her. Our next person is Catherine Leyva Almendares. She is the third recipient of PASI scholarship, and she attends Lafayette University. Catherine was an IB diploma. She was an IBCP. She was just a regular IB kid, but she took a lot of IB, which enriched her learning here. So Catherine, how did you develop and internalize the attributes of the IB learner profile so that you were prepared for and successful in college?
Hi. So I think to start off, answering this question, I'm just going to go through the IB learner profile. So there's 10 of them. It's inquirers, knowledgeable, thinkers, communicators, principled, open-minded, caring, risk-takers, balanced, reflective. So as you can see, that's a lot. That's 10 whole characteristics, and sometimes as an individual, you're better at one than the other. But the IB program really focuses on creating well-rounded individuals in all aspects. So although in high school I felt like I was a very principled person, it made me be more of a risk taker, and that's being helpful now. Being a Gov Law major, I really need to step out of my comfort zone and see different perspectives. So the IB program really helps with that. In addition, balanced is definitely something that has helped me a lot in college, just because in college, there's a lot of different classes that, especially being a Gov Law major, all my classes are very writing intensive, and reading intensive. So being able to balance my schedule while playing a sport, while maintaining a social life is very critical. And in addition, communicators, in the real world, you have to be a good communicator, because if you don't, honestly, you have to express yourself confidently. And also with communication, I took IB Spanish. That really helped me because I was able to take the Spanish placement test in college, and I was able to pass out of Spanish, so that was very helpful being in that class. So yeah, honestly, overall, the IB Learner Profile really creates well-rounded individuals that help you maintain a healthy lifestyle in college.
Thank you, Catherine. So we're going to do a speed round, and you're just going to go quickly through your answers. So each of you put a lot of work, time, energy, spirit, blood into your IB education. How are you seeing it paying off right now in your lives?
5 words or less.
Or a sentence, short sentence. We can sit here and talk about IB all night, but we want them to go home. So, Joel.
Very valuable life skills.
I'm saying a sentence. I'd say that the workload in certain classes, such as the writing and reading intensive ones, don't feel as rigorous as I thought they would.
It's helped me have lifelong friends and increased academic confidence.
It's definitely helped me discover more about myself. And a lot of times people emphasize college as a time for, getting to know who you are as a student, managing your time. But I was already able to do that with the IB diploma experience.
Yeah, just to add on to what she said, it also helped with self-control and time management, as well as finding out what behaviors I'm good at, as well as things that I needed to strengthen and work on. So,
How to prioritize.
I got through the IB diploma. I can get through college.
It helps balance a rigorous schedule.
Okay, great. I know you want to talk more, but the parents might have things, and Ms. Lowry's going to end up.
So I just want to again thank all of you for taking time tonight to talk with our folks. Sometimes when you go into this line of work, we typically know that we're having an impact because we mold the future for kids. That's the potential we have. That's the charge that we take on. But then when kids come back and they talk about where they are and the success that they're having, and you look happy and you look fulfilled and you're still in college, and that's a great thing too, it just adds, I think, for those of us in this profession, it lets us know that, yeah, they leave us and they do okay. So I just want to really thank you again for being here and sharing your experiences with all of our folks. So I know it's late, but if there are questions, we can take a few minutes for questions. If you don't have any or you're not interested, please feel free. If you got to get home, I know it's almost 7:45, but we're here. We're happy to answer questions if you have some. If you leave and then all of a sudden you say, darn, I wish I had, you can email us, you can call us, reach out, Erin, myself, Mar, Terry, Amy, any one of us, Stephanie. There are a lot of people here that can either give you the answer or we can get you the answer. But we will support whatever your question is to ensure that you have the information that you need. Okay? Questions? Yes, ma'am. So the question is, for those of you who did advanced academics and sports and maybe had some leadership role, what were the challenges that you faced and how did you overcome them?
So one of the most obvious ones would be time and how to manage that as well as prioritize. I think one of the biggest things was making sure, one of the biggest challenges was just being able to fit all of that into a cohesive schedule that I could actually maintain as well as perform at a good level. And I think one of the biggest things was making sure that the communication was there with everyone that I was involved with. As far as the sports, making sure that if I felt like I needed extra time to work on my academics, that my coach knew my schedule as well as when and what time I needed it. As well as in the other organization as well, knowing when, planning when to focus your energy on, say, that organization or more on your academics, or if you were in a position of leadership, knowing when to delegate the responsibilities to others so that you can focus on, say, your sport. Say, because in my experience, I had football in the fall, so a lot more of my role in SGA was not really implemented during the fall season, but more afterwards. So I was doing more work and focusing more on my academics and the sports around the fall season. And then after that, it would be more on the academics and the SGA portion. So just knowing, having that communication with those that you were involved with, as well as planning and prioritizing what is needed at what time.
Yeah, and I was also a student that was involved in IB and as well as sports and a couple other things. Oh, hi, sorry. So yeah, I was also someone who was involved in sports as well as I did theater. I was class president and I did IB and ran cross country. And so I think another really big thing for the student is they have to be willing to make sacrifices, because you're going to have a lot of things that are going to overlap. Like I had plenty of times where I had rehearsals for a play that was going to be happening in the fall, but I'd also have cross-country practice at that time, and then I'd also have responsibilities for my class office. Like I'd have to make banners and stuff for the upcoming pep rally. So it's all about being willing to make sacrifices in order to succeed in each of the places that you want. And I think one of the best pieces of advice that I received from one of my teachers was you have to learn how to say no sometimes as well. Because, I think a lot of us that are doing IB Diploma, we're doing it because we're so eager to test our limits and to challenge ourselves. But we also have to be, we have to know that we have to say no sometimes to some of the opportunities that are presented to us in order to succeed in the things that we have already put on our plates.
Very good. Joel?
Yeah, so I've played multiple sports here at Lee for the past 4 years, football all 4 years, lacrosse 1 year. And one thing I've really picked up is persistence. And like Devin and Vincent said, it could be kind of overwhelming at first. And along the ride, like Devin said, there are a lot of people there to help you. But you just have to know your priorities, and like Vincent just said, you have to know when to say no, whether that be missing a practice to finish a project or, just being able to do your homework on and getting it in on time and get some sleep. Like, you have to know your priorities, and if you do that, you get used to it, and it's a very possible thing to do. Just, you have to be persistent and persevere.
Thank you. Good. Any other questions or? Yes, sir. So your question, or what you're wondering about is if they're doing all of this other stuff along with the IB program, then how do they score well enough, say, on the SAT to get into college? Am I capturing that? So what I will tell you, and then maybe you guys, look at their, okay, I'm not even going to talk. I'm just going to let these guys respond. So the question is, did doing all of this stuff actually impact you in a negative way in terms of getting into college? And did it not open up opportunity for scholarship? Joan, you want to start?
Yeah.
Because you look like you're...
Well, specifically speaking for me, me along with 2 other panelists, we have the Posse Scholarship, which provides full tuition towards 5 of schools of your choice. But throughout this process of obtaining the scholarship, a lot of the times they look for a very wholesome person. So wholesome meaning someone who has perspective, who can speak their thoughts, express what they have through their own opinions. If it wasn't for IB, I wouldn't have developed those skills because I wouldn't have actually went out and said, I wanted to try this. I wanted to do something different. Hence what Catherine was saying about risk-taking. A lot of the times, it does seem like a lot of work, but there's a lot of hidden skills that you gain by doing the IB diploma. So with college, it helped me specifically with scholarships. If I didn't do the IB diploma, it wouldn't have led me to my scholarship, and it wouldn't have led me to the school that I go to now.
Does that? The comparison.
Oh.
So I think one of the things you're asking about, sir, is the impact of IB diploma coursework on how these kids did on the SAT. Yeah, yes, or ACT. So what I know from what research shows is that there are a couple of key courses that kids take if they access advanced academics that impact the SAT and the ACT. Those would be advanced academics in English, math, because there are specific segments in the SAT of English and math, right? So where you are in that math sequence, because it's linear, allows you to be more prepared to access the SAT at a higher level. So I'm going to pick on William. William did what math?
I took IB Math HL double block, so I
Okay.
took the higher level 1 and 2.
So because he was at
job.
that level and between readiness and preparation, they met for him at the HL level. When he took those standard diagnostic tests, the SAT and the ACT, he was better prepared. But one of the things we're really trying for our families to understand is that he didn't get that way senior year. It starts back in middle school and 9th grade. So there's, again, two big impact areas that kids should take courses in if they want to see an improvement in their SAT or their ACT. It's specifically in English and math. So the other thing that you have to think about too with a lot of these college applications is the SAT subject tests. I'm going to pick on Vincent because he goes to Virginia Tech. Do you have subject tests?
Yes.
Yeah. What subject test did you have to do? You had to do 2.
Yeah. It's been a while.
Yeah.
I believe I took.
He
I
did
can't
2.
remember this.
So when you do 2 of them, you pick subjects that you want to take a test in that's compared nationally. So I'm going to lie and say, or make it up, he did a math SAT subject test. Because he did the coursework, again, readiness and preparation, meeting at that higher mathematics that he challenged himself with, he was able to take that subject test for the SAT and do very well on it, or he wouldn't have gotten into Virginia Tech that way. Does that answer your question, sir? Okay. Thank you for making me being my guinea pig.
Yeah.
Okay. We're good. Okay.
So there are several schools that are IB friendly. But let's again take Virginia Commonwealth. Okay. Really, every school is IB friendly. Every one of them. All you have to do is go into the website and search, and they can do it now. IB credit. And then they'll go in. Now, if you have a school, there are a lot of colleges, and Desmond's a freshman, right? So when he gets a little bit older and he starts thinking about going to school maybe in a different part of the world, there are a lot of European, African, Indian colleges that really do look at IB kids who have an IB diploma. For example, we have some kids who graduated 2016 that are in England. 2 sisters that are in England. It's a 3-year program. Yep. So the reason, it's very IB friendly. But that's a great question, and it's really dependent on where he's thinking he wants to go. So every school is IB friendly. There are some areas in the world that are very much more interested in IB candidates, where the door is open and they're in. But here in the United States, and specifically in Virginia, they're very generous.
Texas, Florida, Virginia, those are Nebraska.
Nebraska, Wisconsin.
Not
Yeah.
Pennsylvania.
Does that answer your question? We can talk more.
Okay. I'm not looking at anybody in the audience. I'm just going to thank everybody for coming. But I do appreciate you coming. This is the second of 3, so keep an eye on the Keep in Touches. If you found it helpful, please spread that word, because we're really trying to get the word out to our community that advanced academics can be for anyone, and our classes are open enrollment. We really individualize and talk to kids about their strengths and their passions. We really want kids to challenge themselves. You heard our students speak, particularly around certain courses that they took that helped prepare them for the rigors of writing and reading and being prepared for college. You don't have to be a diploma candidate to get that benefit. right? It certainly helped, but we have students that take 1 or 2 classes, 3, that get that benefit as well. But really what we're trying to help our community understand is any kid can sit down and engage in a conversation about how can I challenge myself in one area. At least one. And particularly as your kids are coming up, if they're coming up through middle school or they're in 9th or 10th grade, those are the critical times to really dive into challenging yourselves with advanced academic class or classes. Okay? So again, I thank you. Ms. Holub thanks you. My staff thanks you. We really thank our panel. You guys are brilliant. You know what? Sometimes I worry about our future, but I was sitting here tonight listening to you guys, and I'm like, we're in good hands. We're okay. So thank you very much. Get home safely. Stay warm. And I've been checking email. I have not seen anything about a 2-hour delay. Yet.